Pixels in the Animation is wrapped on the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. Now, TFG and Mike and TV's Mr. Neil head to Hyrule. That's right, listeners, from episode 16 through episode 20 of PETA, Pain in the Ass. We will be covering all 26 episodes of the Legend of Zelda cartoon. Excuse us, podcasters. You can catch Pixels in the Animation every Wednesday on iTunes and www.geekcastradio.com.
Hey! Excuse me, princess!
Hi, hipster Joe.
I figured since it's not video game podcast, I could bring this.
You can bring that
I love how he
anytime
says
you
bring
want.
this. He's in his house right now. You didn't bring it anywhere.
It's like
I brought it downstairs.
It's like I had this in my car in case you guys wanted to jam.
All right, Joe, do you know Soul Sister by Train?
I'm not that good.
Just
You've heard everything I know how to do.
It's really simple.
If I look at the chords, I might be able to, but no, not really.
Your lipstick stain
Okay.
on the front lobe of my left side.
So, are we ready to get this started?
I won't actually play that during the
You can
podcast.
play us in, man.
I've been recording, and I thought you were going to do a dramatic reading of Thomas the Tank Engine.
Once an engine attached to a train was afraid of a few drops of rain. He went into a tunnel and squeaked through his funnel and never came out again. That's the only part I know.
You couldn't have that in a book?
What? I
You know
couldn't
how many
read. You want me to
books?
read the whole thing? I have to go upstairs, so I gotta get it.
No.
I didn't know how long they were. I thought it might be
They're pretty short, but and it's yeah, that one's good. Serves you right.
Let me see what number this is.
I have a prescription for something in my pocket.
44.
Yeah, you do.
Number 44. Let's do this.
Wait, number what?
We're number 44.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did miss a bunch in there. There was like a 5 or 6 series stretch where I wasn't on. So.
And then I missed 5
You
or
weren't
6.
gone long enough.
blow. Yeah, not even blow me. Blow you, sir. And your cripply hand.
All right. So anyone that's still listening, this is Off the Cuff episode 44. I am your host as usual, Michael Powers. I'm joined by, well, you've heard Sean Z. Brown.
Woo!
You've heard Joe Reed.
Hello.
And you've heard Art Danner.
Oh God, why does that still have to be a thing, Sean?
Because it does.
Danner, how you feeling?
Good.
All right. So there was
Let's-
a comment or two.
And moving on.
You're good? Okay.
You're good. All right.
Enough with the pity parade. Let's go.
Status update on Danner's health. He's good.
It's good.
Joe, a little constipated, but still holding it.
Still holding it together.
Holding it in. Is what I
I
said.
do have to kind of pee, but that can wait.
Oh, God.
You sure? You can go. You can run now.
Nah, I'll be back.
Use the hole in your ukulele.
It sounds a bit underwater.
All right. So I had a couple comments regarding last episode and that people like the free form, just, off the cuff nature of the episode where we kind of talked about basically what we've been doing while there's been a lull in gaming. So I thought maybe we could take part of this episode to talk about what we as gamers do in the months between December and, the next when the next games actually come out, because there does tend to be that beginning of the year drought in gaming. And I think it's especially bad this year because there aren't a lot of like last gen and current gen stuff coming out.
I feel like I rushed through everything for the game of the year, so now I don't really have anything to play right now.
Right? I'm kind of in that same spot too. So I figured maybe we could we could just spin it as what we do with our time when we're not gaming, besides the obvious. And, Joe can tell us what he does year round.
Because, I don't actually game anymore.
So
he just goes and he goes and sits in a throne made of games.
I know I promised Dan that he could talk about comics.
Ooh.
So if he would like to start off with that would be fine.
No, I thought we were just talking about what we did when we weren't gaming.
Well, yeah, but you wanted to talk about comics specifically, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
I know you've been itching to talk comics.
I know, because I just don't get a chance to talk comics that much. I mean, I don't. Unfortunately, the pullback schedule doesn't really work for me at all, and I don't read DC Comics, which is also a thing for the pullback because I'm sorry, this entire Geekcast, ensemble. It seems like it's a bunch of DC fanboys. I'm just nothing against them.
Well, I will be right with you. I like both, but I prefer to go more Marvel than DC.
But it just seems like everybody seems to go more DC. But I think that's because the people that are in charge are more DC people, so they attract DC people. I'm a Marvel guy. I've been a Marvel guy since day one. It's everybody seems to their origin of comics seems to go, I started out with Wolverine and then I turned into a huge DC guy, or I started with Batman and then I'm a huge Marvel guy. I started with Batman and I'm a huge Marvel guy.
It's like which badass from which universe did you pick?
And that's pretty much everybody. Most people I've ever talked to, I ask them, what's your first comic? And it's always either a Batman or a Wolverine. For some reason, that seems to be majority of the time. I'm not saying that's everybody. I'm saying majority of the time. That seems to be the two answers I get is Wolverine or Batman.
The first comic I ever read was X-Men. That I ever remember owning or reading was X-Men number 25.
Nice.
Which is Fatal Attractions.
Fatal
Attractions.
Attractions.
That doesn't know.
Yeah.
And then for me, comics, like I guess you could say like I knew of Batman, but I never read a Batman comic, right? But I knew of him because you have the coloring books, you have the action figures and stuff like that growing up. I remember having the
Nickelodeon Nick at Night 50s Batman TV show.
60s
Oh yeah,
Batman
TV show. That's where I learned about him.
I remember the action figures. What was it? The Justice Friends or something like that. Action figures like the big round penguin.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, it was those were my introduction to like the character, like the DC characters, and then I didn't really find out about Marvel until like the 91-92 Fleer trading cards.
Okay.
People were passing them around at school, and then I was like, oh, those are really cool. So my dad knew a guy that sold boxes of those cards, so he bought me
He knew a guy.
he bought me a box of the Series 1, Series 2, and like the 94-95 X-Men Fleer Ultra cards.
I have a set of those you could buy at the Geek Garage sale.
I have a set, I think, or two.
Never mind.
I would love to, though.
We were panhandling over here.
We were stuck on a layover in an airport, and I had nothing to do. And my parents bought me a Batman comic book.
I bet that read really fast.
It did. But after that, I mean, we went to like the local drugstore back when you could buy comics in drugstores.
Yeah, man.
I missed that.
And I started with Archie Turtles, and that was like really the first series I followed. And then when I kind of was into that for a while, I branched out and I got into I started reading Batman. I think the very first issue of Batman I ever picked up was Shadow of the Bat #1 when it was kind of like ongoing. That was like the first I picked up, which for a 9-10-year-old was really dark because that's entire storyline is Batman being thrown into Arkham Asylum as an inmate.
I like that.
And
I like it that we consider
the first 6 issues of that entire thing is Batman in Arkham Asylum. So
I like that we consider comics that we read when we were kids as like dark, when really there was only like 6 colors in a comic.
No, I mean dark is in the
no,
subject.
I know.
The subject matter was incredibly dark.
I know, but it's weird to think that they had dark subject matter when their color palette was limited to 6 colors.
Yeah.
It's just it's odd. Like I remember wanting to go back and read recently Nightfall.
Yeah.
I couldn't read that because of the way the art looked.
For some, Batman and Superman were like the first two. The first issue of Superman I ever bought just happened to be the first cameo appearance of Doomsday, where Doomsday shows up on the last panel and the whole start of the Death of a Superman thing.
Okay.
That starts. That was my first, happened to be the first issue of Superman I ever picked up. Was the first cameo appearance of Doomsday.
You still have that?
Yeah, I have all of it.
That's awesome.
But I didn't even know that stuff was coming. I just happenstance that I happened to pick it up, and that's when I started getting into Superman. It was right when the start of the Doomsday, Death of a Superman, Funeral of a Friend, and the Return of the Superman. That was that was when I got into DC, was during that heyday. And then that all changed because then I picked up the part 1 of Executioner's Song for X-Men, and that forever changed me when it came to comics. I completely dropped DC after that and just got into X-Men comics, and that's where I am today. That's what I like to do in my free time, is I still collect X-Men. I'm still reading all new X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, most of the Bendis stuff, Uncanny Avengers.
I'm interested in Uncanny Avengers.
Uncanny Avengers is pretty interesting. I do want to say that I have a tendency with certain series that when I'm reading them and they have a really big in-depth story arc, I will stop reading it and just pick up all the issues in the story arc and then read it.
So read it in one shot instead of waiting.
Because they're doing in Uncanny Avengers, they're doing this big story arc with the Children of Apocalypse, and it had been a while since I went and got them, so I have almost 12 issues that I haven't read yet of this arc, and I will probably sit down and read them this week. I've been keeping up on my all new X-Men, but now it's crossing over with Guardians of the Galaxy, so now I need to go out and get Guardians of the Galaxy so I can do this crossover for the trial of Jean Grey.
Yeah.
I just picked up Guardians of the Galaxy today, and that crossover confused me. Why do I care about what's happening with Jean Grey? I thought they were on the other side of the galaxy, but
I have the first part of that, and now you have the second part of that. So I need to go buy a copy of Guardians. I don't know how long of a crossover event it is, but
yeah, I don't remember the first. I remember the first comic book I ever read was a Superman comic. I don't remember what it was. It was too long ago. I remember the very first comic I ever bought for myself, though. It was a Green Lantern. I don't know if it was Green Lantern Corps or just a regular Green Lantern, and it was a special issue. It was right after Kyle Rayner got the ring, and it was the entire thing is narrated by Guy Gardner. Going through his he's walking through the restaurant he owns. It's basically like the Hard Rock Cafe, but of superheroes. And he's telling the story of all the Green Lanterns, which I love. Cool. I love that book. It was like like a double or triple thick issue, and it went from Alan Scott up to Kyle Rayner. And the very back of it had Kyle Rayner's sketchbook of him designing what he wanted his suit to look like. And he kept making puns about Parallax. He's like Kyleax, and he's making ones that look like Parallax but green. And he's like, Bat Lantern. He's like Batman but with a symbol on him. It's just really funny, and it's one of my favorite issues I've ever read. And I read it so much it fell apart. So I don't have pages were just falling out of it, and so I don't have it anymore. And that's, if I could own one comic book right now, it'd be that. I don't know what number it is. I know it was right after Kyle Rayner got the ring. So that's all I know, issue wise. which is really annoying.
I'm currently trying to make my way through Avengers Academy, and I don't know why.
Just
because I'll tell you why. Because X-23 is in it, and you have a horrible obsession with that character.
Are you really obsessed with X-23?
I am, but here's the problem:
the foot claws creep me out, dude.
The only people that I've seen that can get a handle on, like, on her as a character are the people that created her. Everybody else either
the Weapon X.
The writers that actually created her, Chris Yost and Greg Kyle.
So far, Bendis has done a pretty decent job with her, but she's only honestly been in the book for like 2 issues.
There's somebody else too that did the writing for her. Like she had a 20-issue miniseries by herself. Whoever did the writing for that, it was all right. I mean, it was better, but the way they utilize her in Avengers Academy is just really poor. Not to mention, I was hoping that book would be something like New X-Men was. You know what I'm talking about, Danner, where they introduced all the younger class, like Hellion and stuff like that. I thought it was gonna be more like that in execution, and it's not.
I just think it's funny that out of all those characters that come out of New X-Men, Hellion's the only one who's still in the books.
Is he? Because I know that he, like, Rockslide and stuff are still in there.
No. I don't. Which team is Rockslide on?
I don't know who he went with in the split. Okay. But I know, like, Mercury and Surge and
Dust.
What really bones me out is when Hellion got his hands chopped off.
That'll learn you.
He got him chopped off by Lady Deathstrike.
When in Battle of
something she would do.
One of the cool things that happened is in Battle of the Atom, the future X-Men came to warn them because of the fact that, well, the premise was essentially all new X-Men, the Beast brings the original X-Men from the past to the present to show them everything that's gone wrong in the hopes that they'll go back and look at
what you've done, Scott. You've become an asshole.
Yeah, look at what you've done, Scott. You've become an asshole.
Well, that happened the second day. I don't know how you fix that.
And then
becoming an asshole? Okay, you can be an asshole, just not a murderous asshole.
Yeah, who kills Professor Xavier? And
amongst thousands,
they decide not to leave, and they stay. So throughout the course of All New X-Men is basically the original X-Men team dealing with the pressures of the current X-Men landscape. And then in Battle of the Atom, the X-Men of the future come in and basically go, you have to send them back. They're going to unravel the timeline. They're going to destroy everything. And it turns out the X-Men that actually come back are actually the Brotherhood of the future. And then the actual X-Men of the future come in to basically go after the Brotherhood of the future. And one of the X-Men of the future is actually Hellion, who's possessed with the Phoenix Force, who's super badass.
I can see that. I kind of saw that I saw him as a person that could embody the Phoenix Force, because in new X-Men, he actually becomes pretty badass in his own right. And I feel like they handicapped his character when they cut his hands off, because all of a sudden it put him in like this mood. It's like, dude, you're a telekinetic being. You don't need your hands.
He has hands now.
I think they're robotic.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I remember seeing an issue in the miniseries, in the X-23 miniseries, that he eventually gets robotic hands towards the end of it, but he's still very much like, poor me, my hands got cut off, and they just made him into a bitch instead of being awesome like he was.
I think the best part of the Battle of the Atom was when future Hellion goes up to present Hellion and just looks at him and goes, you would do yourself a big favor if you get over yourself.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow.
Ooh, self-burn.
Yeah, I was like, damn.
But I actually think I'm going to have to start. I might want to, you have to tell me what line that is, because I like him and I like to see more of him. But Avengers Academy is not at all what I thought it was going to be. I don't like the Avengers in comic book form, like in any way, shape, or form. I feel like and these aren't like, Avengers Academy isn't Thor, Captain America, Iron Man. It's Hank Pym teaching a group Hank Pym, Tigra, Hawkeye, and Ultron's wife, Jocasta, trying to teach a group of kids that were basically molested by Osborn. And so they're trying to teach a group of kids to become good instead of like evil masterminds. It's just really bad.
Which I thought was the only reason I want to read that book is because I know Darkhawk's a part of that.
Not yet. I'm hoping some good writers eventually take over. I'm like 20 issues, 20
They've already ended it.
Is it? So yeah,
I was pretty sure they ended it because that was the whole X-23 popping up in all new X-Men is because right after that run ended.
I'll have to.
I want to say that only lasted 25 issues.
Yeah. I'll say
you're
one thing.
coming up on the end of the run.
Okay, well we'll have to see because I mean, and it does, and the costume designs for some of those characters are just atrocious. But that's
and
that's
I think I want to say I'm pretty sure Hellions and Wolverine and the X-Men because that's the one book I'm not reading.
Okay, like I said, I do like X-23 because I remember she came out of she's one of the best things to come out of X-Men Evolution.
Yeah.
Which would have gotten a lot better had it been allowed to continue because what was it did they tease the Age of Apocalypse?
Yeah.
Oh, man. What a tease. So. All right. You're going to have to tell me which ones I need to read because I know I downloaded a bunch of them. I downloaded like All New X-Men and...
After paying for them, of course.
No. And something else because I was trying to follow an artist that I really like. And for
I was going to say All New X-Men and Uncanny X-Men kind of play off of each other because Bendis is writing both of them. So I find it very helpful to read both of those together.
Okay, I think it's All New X-Men and Wolverine and the X-Men. Like
but I would definitely
sharing
read
an artist.
I would, if I were you, I would definitely read Avengers versus X-Men because that really helps kind of read. Okay, here's what you got to read. If you want to get into the landscape of how things are right now, you need to read one called X-Men Schism.
I've read that already.
Okay, and you need to read Avengers versus X-Men.
Isn't that
not versus though? It's different.
Yes.
There's AVX and then there's versus.
Okay, there's AVX. You need to read AVX.
Okay. Is that part of like Wolverine and the X-Men, or is Wolverine and the X-Men after that?
Wolverine and the X-Men's after that.
Okay.
Yeah,
because
AVX is like a year or two old.
Yeah.
I think it was in 2012, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was the
that
big
pretty much leads up to showing you how Scott becomes an asshole. That's what that is.
Well, actually, Schism starts it, and then AVX finishes it.
Well, because X-23's miniseries started in 2011, and the teams were already split.
It's because that's from Schism. They split in Schism.
Okay.
I do like
because he takes. I want to say, because I didn't. There was a good couple years where I wasn't reading X-Men, and that's when Schism started. Because I want to say Schism started right after I dropped it.
I know her miniseries picks up right after Wolverine kicks her off of X-Force.
Yeah. No, see, that's when the teams are still together because X-Force is put together essentially by Scott to do the wet work stuff.
Yeah.
And then after Schism, I want to say it becomes Uncanny X-Force.
Well, she was in Uncanny X-Force. Anyways, whatever.
I do love how about that whole
too
thing
many different
was,
names.
Yeah, with how they made fun of all those memes came out from Cyclops' uniform change. It's like, way to copy Nightwing, dick.
I like his uniform change.
Well, with the red and the. But it looks just like Nightwing with a visor.
Except for the fact that, unlike, Nightwing, Cyclops isn't a bitch.
Ooh, careful. I think they're both just as much of a bitch.
Oh, Joe's awake now. Wait a minute.
Come on.
Wait, is Joe a Nightwing fan?
Nightwing.
Don't get between me and my Dick Grayson.
Oh.
Yeah, there's don't ever separate Joe from his dick. I like Dick Grayson. I like Nightwing, and I prefer.
Too bad they're killing him off.
Yeah, well, killed off Batman and fucking everyone.
You killed
He'll
off
be back
Captain
in
America
like
too.
3 months. Don't worry. I'm sorry. Last time a superhero
I
death
honestly
actually meant
only
something
said that
to me was
just-
Death of Superman.
Really?
And that
I
didn't last
honestly
long.
only made the Nightwing comment just to hear what Mike
Just
says.
to piss.
Just to piss
Yeah.
Mike off. TFG1 Mike, because I know he'll hear that and be like, "What?
What? Oh, is he a big Nightwing fan?
Oh yes."
What I meant to say was he's definitely gay for Batman, is what it is. He misses the days when he wore the little green shorts.
You mean the green
booty
underwear?
shorts.
The green underoos?
They're booty shorts.
You know what look I want to see Nightwing pull off? Jorts. Just cause. I think you could pull off jorts with that little mask of his. Get this whole sexy cabana boy thing going on.
You're so mean.
You know, I have to credit for my comic, like I've gotten the comics back in 2004, and I have to credit Danner for that. Because I remember hearing him talk about New Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually went back to my comic shop and grabbed issue 1 all the way up to whatever there was, and then I was actually collecting a couple other things because that's around when the first X-23 miniseries started. But yeah, Danner put me down this really bad road that I should never have been on.
Well, I was gonna say if nobody's ever read Avengers, or you're not even an Avengers fan,
New Avengers.
if you can get your hands on the trade paperback for Avengers Disassembled, so you can see what it's like when somebody destroys a team, and then New Avengers picks up after that, it's fantastic. So good.
Yeah, I think I have all of that with my gigantic Civil War crossover lead up aftermath collection.
Yeah, I have all that too.
Because Avengers Disassembled is just
Someday I'll sit down to
put
reread all
together.
See,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, Civil War and then going into Secret Invasion was such. When I heard about it, I was like, "It's gonna be awesome." And then I read it, I'm like, "That could have been way better."
Wait, did Civil War go into Secret Invasion? Because I remember, like, after
Civil War
was
like broke them up.
Okay,
Right? So they were all at each other's throats.
Right.
And then Secret Invasion came after that.
And just
then,
like fucked up because no one trusts each other.
and then
anyways
Dark
at that
Reign
point.
was after that.
Well,
Yeah.
wait a minute. Wait, where did Planet Hulk come in? Wasn't that right after Civil War?
I think we all ignored Planet Hulk because of
I think
how
I want to say
Okay.
terrible
That was a
before.
lead up event. They were one of the reasons that things started to go south in Avengers was that they sent Banner away.
Right,
wherever
but-
he did his Planet Hulk thing, and some
I
people
think
thought that was a good idea. Some people
was
thought, "Hey,
Planet
shouldn't we
Hulk-
give him a chance?"
I'm trying to remember. Planet Hulk is after Secret Invasion.
World War Hulk is after Civil War. I know that.
Yeah.
Because he comes
So then,
back.
and then Secret Invasion's after that.
Okay, I was gonna say Secret Invasion has to be after that because I stopped collecting during World War Hulk.
I think I stopped collecting after Secret Invasion. Secret Invasion was good.
It could have been way
Money
better.
got tight, and then I had to stop.
One of my favorites is I like House of M.
You know what? This is gonna make me sound horrible. I know what happened. Still have not read House of M.
House of M's pretty good.
That's
That's how I've always heard.
that's
it's
had a
one of those
lot of
things-
wide-reaching implications for a long
Yeah.
time now.
It's a lot of references go back to that.
I
And a
I
lot of
liked,
stuff that's a lot of the implications have only recently been undone of that. Recently,
It's going to make me watch Scarlet Witch in the Avengers movie with a leery eye. Because, like, I know what you
Like,
do.
but
Be
she
like, I'm
can't.
gonna
She's
keep
not
an eye
a
on this
mutant.
bitch.
She can't be a
She-
mutant.
Yeah, in the
Wait,
Avengers. Yeah, in the Avengers movies, they're not allowed to call her and Quicksilver mutants.
Or
They're
They're
not
not allowed
to call
to
them anything else.
and they're
or
not
reference-
allowed to
allowed to
reference
call the-
Magneto.
Yep, they can't say anything about Magneto. They can't say. I've heard that they're gonna because Baron von Strucker is, or however you say his name, is supposed to be in Avengers.
Baron Strucker.
Yeah, I guess there's implications they might make them his kids. Like them being some kind. I'm saying what I've heard. Also,
I think they should leave it open for when they eventually someday maybe might get the rights back.
Yeah, because Fox because Fox is gonna stop wanting money.
Yeah.
Well, I think they'll eventually, like, they wanted to get the Avengers Tower in the Spider-Man movie, but they didn't have enough time to work it out, and the CG was already shipped off, so they couldn't, but they wanted to.
Mhm.
I think there might eventually be amicable partnerships between those companies.
The problem is you've already run into the problem where Fox has cast their Quicksilver already,
Yep.
Yeah.
and
Speaking of which, have you seen the costume for the Quicksilver?
Stop. Let's not talk about it because it's so bad.
It's horrible.
I can't judge anything until I actually see it on the screen, because all like a picture is taken out of context and they're trying to make him look like Quicksilver on the cover, and at least he's not in a green suit with a stupid white arrow on it or a white lightning bolt across it.
It's blue.
It's green in Avengers.
It was blue at one point in time.
That was worse. It wasn't blue. It was baby blue.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. Like, usually they've been so good with costumes in these movies, but Quicksilver's, it's like they're kind of like, get it? He's silver. Get it?
The question I'm wondering though is Quicksilver part of the future, or is he part of the past roster?
He's supposed to be.
I think he's a part of the past.
He's supposed to be in the 70s. He's wearing a Walkman.
Well, that's
like
fine.
or whatever when they first came out. He's supposed to be part of that whole beginning of pop thing from when
I have no allegiance for Quicksilver because I find him to be annoying.
Yeah, he's not one of my.
But he's the Marvel's Quickster, Speedster. You know, I mean, it's
no. He
doesn't
even rank.
No. Don't pigeonhole us to just one Quickster, because we have North Star also. So
who?
I'll take North Star over Quicksilver any day.
Yeah,
North Star. No,
North Star is far more interesting.
So a couple of my favorite arcs with comics in general since I started collecting in 2004 have been basically the entire run of X-Factor that spun out of House of M. Where it was the detective agency.
Oh God, it's so good. They just restarted X-Factor also, and absolutely none of. I think Polaris is the only one who's on the team that's from the original team, and I'm just like, I can't.
Is Maddox there?
No. It's Gambit, and I remember reading what the team was and just going, I'm
forget
not
that.
I haven't seen Gambit. Do they still have Gambit with he doesn't have the trench coat?
No.
That's dumb.
He had the trench coat in the X-23 miniseries.
Yeah, but I think they got rid of it.
Anyways, I've liked that entire run because it reminded me of like real world X-Men. And then I've liked the Wolverine arc, which was Enemy of the State.
Love Enemy of the State.
Enemy of the State was good. And then I also enjoyed it was around X-Men 190 or something when Rogue takes over the team, and she creates a fast response team that consists of herself, Cable, Sabretooth, and Iceman. And that was just the art for that was really good too. So I enjoyed that.
And that contains my favorite mutant in it, Cable.
I can't stand Cable. They made him cool.
Cable.
They made him cool in that because of the art, and I do love. I did enjoy Cable in Cable and Deadpool, or Deadpool and Cable, or whatever it's called. I thought that was a really funny comic to read. But I think when Danner gets back, we should veer away from talking about comics.
Oh, he's gone?
Yeah, he'll be back in 2 minutes supposedly.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
And I'm just sitting here masturbating to my IDW comics.
Yeah, we really didn't talk any non DC or Marvel things.
The IDW is doing brilliant things with a bunch of everybody's favorite properties from way back in the 80s.
They do Turtles, don't they?
They're doing the current Turtles run. They're doing Ghostbusters, which is outstanding. The Star Trek was good before I decided that I needed one less $4 book.
Well, I didn't want to turn this into an episode of the Pull Bag.
Yeah.
And I know Danner's been itching to talk about comics, so I thought I'd let him do that.
Infinitely more dick jokes.
So, but
yep. So
you know what? We'll take a break, and when we come back, Danner will be here.
Okay. I was gonna say we could just sit here in awkward silence for like 4 minutes.
Ah, brave new world that has such putzes in it.
The Pull Bag is GCRN's comic book review and discussion-based podcast. Join me, your host, TFG and Mike, and the rest of the GCRN crew as we make our way through the comics we are reading. Inside the Pull Bag, you'll also find back-issue classics and origins episodes of how we got into comic reading. You can find the Pull Bag every Wednesday on iTunes and on www.geekcastradio.com. Make your great escape into comics and jump into the Pull Bag today.
Oh, yes, but think of the fun.
And we're back on the... thank you.
Sorry.
We're back on the other side of that break. I thought we could take a minute and actually veer this back towards gaming.
Wait, what? I'm sorry. Gaming? Why? But
Gaming.
This is the wrong podcast.
Because this is the right podcast for this. This is the wrong podcast to spend 30 minutes talking about comics.
46 minutes. Thank you.
At least we talked about Marvel comics.
That's true. But I thought I was able to scrounge up some things that we could actually possibly talk about here a little bit. Let's see. First of all, I think this happened last week, right before I think it happened too close for us to actually talk about this on the podcast. But was it this last week or the week before where Nintendo slashed their earnings by more than half? For the last year,
business model.
Basically, the story is that in the 1 year that the Wii U has been out, they've sold fewer Wii U's than the Xbox or PS4 sold in 2 months.
After getting a chance to play one the other day, that does not surprise me.
Now, the interesting thing that kind of came out of this, before we dive into what this may or may not mean in the rumors of Nintendo's next console, interesting article that came out today is that the Nintendo boss, help me out here, Joe. Iwata, because they have his first name in here too. Iwata took a pay cut.
50% pay cut.
A 50% pay cut, so
which most corporations, it's 20 to 30% is the norm.
And most of them would also lay off the guy at the bottom to maintain the payroll at the top.
And it sounds like most of the people on the executive board all took pay cuts.
Which
sounds
like the honorable thing to do, I think.
I think so too. I just wanted to put that out there as news because you don't hear about that happening. Usually it's the guys at the top that want to keep their fat paychecks and let the low guy go home and starve.
It's because there's a better sense of tradition at that company. And they realize that a misstep is just that. It's a misstep.
Right. So I just wanted to point that out for some people that there are good companies out there, even if Nintendo can't figure out what the hell they're doing. So there have been a couple of rumors about what Nintendo might do, and one of them is a Wii U that drops the gamepad to be sold with just the controller. I was wondering what you guys might think about
that. They actually released one of those. It's called a Wii. It's pretty amazing. So a Wii U minus the tablet controller.
Yeah. Well, you can't. I really can't say that the Wii U is the same thing as the Wii. I can't, because it's not. I mean, yeah, it shares the same name and it looks very similar, but the graphics that it puts out are not at all the same.
Are marginally, minutely better.
You need to get your eyes checked. I'm sorry. But
the best that because I was really paying attention when I was playing this thing the other day.
You played Nintendo Land.
No, I played Nintendo Land. I also watched them play some stuff too. Also, I will say in Nintendo Land, fuck that throwing stars game. Okay, my hand was killing me after that, but I beat it. So,
well, what do you guys think about this? Do you think would be a smart idea to ship it with just a regular controller?
No, because it takes the key feature away from.
But
I don't care how much money that costs.
Nobody's using it. No one, not even Nintendo.
Huh.
All the games support that off-screen play if you want it, but as far as a controller input for as far as something additional to the game, no one uses it because the games still have to work when you have the off-screen play, and you don't have a touchscreen when you have the off-screen play. So no one's been using it. And even Nintendo says they're not using it in their new Donkey Kong Country game. So what's all it does is add like an extra $100-$200 to the cost of the system.
So basically, most games control with the Wiimote and nunchucks still?
No, they still use the gamepad, but they don't use the touchscreen.
No, it's just they're literally just using the things that you could get on a normal gamepad, the joysticks and triggers and the face buttons. They're completely not using the 6 or 7 inches.
I think it's a 5-inch touchscreen.
Whatever.
And so they would release it with just the deck and
the Pro controller,
the classic Pro controller.
Yeah, the Pro controller.
Huh.
So it'd be just like a traditional console and probably sell for around $200.
Wait, did they say what the price difference would be?
Yeah, I'm just saying it'd probably be around $200, considering they're slashing the whole thing. They're chopping $100-$200 in overhead off by not having that controller.
But do you think they'd really pass all that right on to taking off the retail?
If it meant getting more people to buy their games, yeah. Because if you think about it, the Wii has never been anything, as much as Joe and I wanted it to be a Trojan horse going in the next generation, or at least I did.
Yep.
It isn't much more than the 360 or the PS3 in terms of hardware, and both of those are selling for around $200, and you get more out of them. And by that I mean like hardware space.
Yeah, I still wouldn't say it's on the same. I wouldn't even say the Wii U's on the same as the Xbox 360 or the.
On paper, it is.
Oh, good paper. It's really entertaining.
If people wanted to, they could make very beautiful games on that system.
Yeah, but there's
there to care.
But who's gonna make a beautiful game when if every single person that owns a Wii U bought one, you'd sell only 1 million copies.
Yep.
Or however many Wii U's are out there.
Which is exactly why nobody makes games for it.
No publisher is going to do that. It would cost more to make the game than they would make.
Here's the problem. The Wii U came out in that awkward transition spot. And it wasn't next gen. It was current gen. And all the game development was already onto...
all the big studios were moving on to the next stuff.
Yeah, they were moving on. And it got lost in the shuffle. There was that... I don't know if it's going to prove out to be true or not, but there was that GameStop scare last week too, where they started canceling everyone's Watch Dogs pre-orders for the Wii U.
Oh, really?
Yep.
And then they retracted the statement saying that there was nothing wrong, that it was still coming to the Wii U. But at this point, you have to wonder if Ubisoft is actually going to actually waste the money anymore, like trying to optimize, to try and port Watch Dogs.
Is it worth the hassle? Those 4 people are real pissed.
All Nintendo had to do was pick up the phone and call my phone number and say, do you think it's a good idea that we release a current gen system at the end of current gen and we get the jump on everybody on the next gen? Like, no, Nintendo, that's not going to work. You need to make an actual next gen system.
Honestly, what would you do if you picked up your phone and some Japanese you just started speaking really quick in Japanese?
I'd have a hard time understanding him because I know no Japanese.
Yeah, so it'd be pretty short conversation. Be like, no, I'm happy with my long distance provider. Click.
Iwata speaks English, kind of.
I've seen those things that he has. It's kinda. So does Jackie Chan. Kinda.
But I knew this was going to happen. Nobody was going to buy it, and Nintendo tripped up. And I don't know what they're thinking, and I don't know what second in command isn't saying. Whoa! This is not a good idea. Don't do this. And so now they're going to be a generation behind again. Man,
from my understanding, they don't even sell well over there, do they?
No. I don't think they have.
So. Basically where this is going is the another rumor that kind of spun out too, along with the new SKU for the Wii U minus the gamepad, was Nintendo's also readying their next gen console. And
what was the proposed name of it?
Nintendo Fusion. And here's on the surface, just looking at it, like before you drill down into any of the rumored specs or anything, one of the rumors is that it'll be a console and a handheld together. And the joke that I kind of made in our Facebook chat was that this system will come out and Sony will respond by bundling the Vita with the PlayStation 4, because essentially Sony is already giving gamers that it's a handheld that they can take with them to play their games. but
or combine it with the console.
And play at home. Essentially, Nintendo's going to try that same strategy. There's going to be a handset, which is basically a 3DS, an enhanced 3DS with the dual screens and the clamshell design and whatnot. And then there will be which seems like an actual beast of a machine, again, on paper. And then there is the console itself, which on paper, the numbers put it like twice as powerful as the PlayStation 4. And it's not that it wouldn't actually hit until like 2015 or 2016.
By then it'd be too late.
But it may be too late. But the interesting thing about this is that even if these specs were true and it did come out, you would still be playing to the lowest common denominator. Like only Nintendo's games would shine. But by then the other two consoles will be in their like second and third year, so all the games will be like maturing and developers will have like a grasp on it and they won't need to learn. They are sticking with the custom design chips for everything instead of the off the shelf stuff that Microsoft and Sony went with.
So it's slow production.
It seems like it's one of the things I was thinking about it today was that it was the successor to the GameCube. It looks like everything in this is designed to have the fewest bottlenecks possible, which is what the GameCube went for as well.
See, when you said that it was going to be a handheld, like that it was going to be a handheld come out of the console, all I was thinking is in my head, I don't know if you've seen the pictures of that guy who modded an N64 to turn it into a handheld. That's what I'll picture in my head, because I'll be like, that's totally what it's going to be. It's going to be like that dude selling them with a horribly racist Asian accent.
So if we think the Wii U is doomed and we don't think another console is the answer, does anyone want to see Mario on an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4?
It'll never happen. I think Nintendo would go out of business and pack up shop before their stuff showed up on third party.
You think they would just take their toys and go home?
I think they would back out of consoles and just stick to handhelds.
That's what would happen.
The 3DS is not. Here's the problem: the DS outsold the 3DS. It's still not still, but the numbers for the 3DS are down over the DS. So even that's not doing them a lot.
Until they run out of colors, material, and letters to make Pokemon games, there will always be a Nintendo system.
The problem is they can make more money off of putting a Mario game on an iOS device than they can on their own hardware.
I don't think they'd ever. I think there's too much honor in the company.
I don't think they'd become a software company.
No,
I don't think they would take the Sega route.
I think they'd rather that they would close shop before. I mean, it would be such a huge dishonor. I think that they're the company that would not do something like that.
Oh, that's a shame.
I would bet my life on it.
They would all perform seppuku.
I believe. If somebody's going to do it in modern Japan, it would be the executives at Nintendo.
But that would be a news story to wake up to.
But it would be with like those like Nintendo, like the Wii Mote add-on weapons.
They got themselves with a Wii Motion Plus.
Yeah, but then it lost connection, so they had to shake it up a little bit. They had to lay it down on a flat surface to calibrate it.
Or they had to stab 3 times because it didn't read the motion the first 2 times.
I played the my parents bought a Wii Mini like a week and a half ago.
The point of it.
My parents love Wii Sports. My dad loves the bowling. And I get that. I had their Wii over here and I thought it was still in good condition. And the problem is they let my siblings play with it at their house before I took it. And I brought their Wii back over to hook it up for them to play. And it loaded up and it would play the game just fine, but the fan was super loud and the drive was clicking constantly. But it would play. And I said, this is fine, but it's
gonna die.
Yeah, you're not gonna like this. So we ran out. My dad offered to, buy a Wii Mini. So we went out and snagged one of those. And to be honest, the thing is an actually nice little piece of hardware. 2 things for some reason I didn't know about the system, probably because I never really read up on the system. It has no internet functionality whatsoever.
Yeah, I heard that.
But not only that, you can't port your Miis over to it.
Well, isn't it because it uses the? It would
There's
normally
probably no
use the
wireless
internet?
communication on there at all.
No.
Yeah.
But you can load up your Mii's on your controller and take them over to a friend's house and put them on their console.
Oh, that's right.
And so
remember that.
I did that. I put my parents' Mii's from their old Wii on a controller, and I loaded up the Wii Mini, and I went into the little the Mii space, and
wouldn't recognize it?
the option to import the Mii's was not available.
Well, now that makes me wonder. I wonder if have you ever tried doing it to a Wii that was not connected to the internet? I wonder if that's like loading onto your controller is really just a cheating. Like it's holding your whatever your friend code or whatever, and when you go to someone's house, it just pulls it off the internet.
I don't think so, because you don't need to exchange. I've transferred Mii's before. You don't need to exchange friend codes.
No, but I'm saying
No, like an imaginary
it's not
code.
just like some random serial number that links back to your.
I don't know. The Nintendo network's never been that fast. I really don't know that it would.
I don't know.
It doesn't seem like that would be. I don't know. That would call out for like a handshake.
I'm just
not to mention the Wii
point.
that I transferred them from was not connected to the internet at the time.
I don't know.
So it just
I
asks.
see. Yeah.
You just plug it in and you say you say what controller do you want to transfer them to, and you select your Mii's. I think you can load up like 8 of them, 8 or 10 to a controller, and but basically like a little action figure carry-all, and you just go over to your friend's house and you point it at the system and you say, I want to put these things on the system, but you can't do that. I even looked it up on the internet. You just it can't be done, and there's no SD card slots or anything like that, so you really can't transfer anything over.
Wow.
But we had fun. We made new Mii's and everything, and we played a couple games of bowling, and everyone had a good old time. So
Every time I play bowling, I still cheat.
how do you cheat?
In bowling, you know how it has the bumper rails?
Sure.
Well, you know do you ever take turns? You know how like you can do the bowling where it goes up all the way to 100 pins?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's the power bowling. Yeah.
Yeah, you can cheat on that.
Oh well, I
If you can-
thought you were
if the-
cheating playing the actual bowling.
Yeah, you just punch the other person in the nuts when they're trying to throw the ball. They're right there. But with the power bowling, if you can you balance the ball on top of the bumper rail all the way down, it's an automatic strike. Even on 100 pin or 99 pin, I think is what it is.
I'll have to try that sometime.
Yeah, you have to like get it perfect and just throw a perfect hook, and the ball will just like ride the rail all the way down on top of it, and it hits the end. It will pause for a second, and then you hear this loud "goo" noise, and all the pins just fall over.
All right, I've got another news story, and then we can maybe I don't know talk about something else if you guys want to.
Well, we still haven't really gone into specifically what we do individually.
I didn't.
During
I
the
figured
gaming
we
trips.
can make it an ongoing thing because there isn't going to be any. I mean, next week we've got the game of the year conversation, but there still isn't going to be anything for the week after that. So Daniel went this week, and you can share yours next week, Shanzi, if you're here.
I only scratched the surface too. There's so much more I do.
Yeah, but I figured if someone else says that they
I didn't
watch
even
TV
get into my
shows or-
taxidermy thing.
I figured if someone else brought up like movies or TV shows and on their turn, then we could all just jump in on that like we did your comics.
Yeah.
Hell yeah!
This kind of came out of nowhere today. It came from the first place I saw it was screwattack.com, so I wasn't sure how reliable it was, but then I found it got traced back to Eurogamer, who's the website behind Digital Foundry, the guys that do all the tech mumbo jumbo for video games. Apparently Sony, a source close to Sony has said that they plan to implement PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 emulators into the PlayStation 4. Now, apparently it's not the question is whether or not you'll be able to put any game you want in there and play it, or if it'll be like the emulators they have in the PlayStation 3. Because I guess that they actually do. They actually have emulators for the PS1 and the PS2 in the PlayStation 3. You just can't access the emulators for the PlayStation 2 unless you buy the game digitally. So that's kind of up in the air to see what's going to happen. But apparently they're working on like HD filters so that the games don't look like ass when you're playing them. I was kind of hoping for something along the lines of, adding the scan lines back in like we talked about last week. But that probably won't happen. What do you got? I mean, I see this happen. I see this as something that would happen as the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 reach feature parity. And then Sony just wants a trump card to throw in the box.
Be like, oh, we can really do everything.
So what do you guys think?
To me, I bought a PS4. I don't really want to play PS1 or PS2 games. I get the fact that, I mean, it's a feature that you can tout, but it just, I don't know. To me, I'm just kind of like,
yeah. I think it's
starting... If it was backwards compatible with the PS3, that'd be a little bit more interesting to me, just because I still, am kind of playing my PS3.
Yeah.
But besides that, it's just kind of, I don't have any PS1 or PS2 games. I'm just holding on to.
Like, it's getting to the point where those games are becoming so dated and so old compared to what I mean, not knocking them. They're still excellent games, But I still am in love with Final Fantasy VII. I wouldn't mind going playing back through that. But I would plug in my PlayStation 1 if I really wanted to. I don't need my a PlayStation 4 to play it. It doesn't interest me that much.
I'd ask Joe what he thought, but I guess that I don't think he has any PlayStation games.
I do have a few. I have Gran Turismo 3 because that's what I use to put into my PlayStation 2 to hack it, to read it off the hard drive. But as far as backward compatibility goes, it's a nice feature to have, but I don't think people are going to use it like they would have before. And in the end, it wouldn't help me sell a system because I have a PS1 and a PS2 over there.
All right.
But, maybe some people get excited, but I don't think it sells systems. I don't think the people walking into the store are the people who are, ooh, it's backward compatible, I got to get it.
Joe, there was something I wanted to tell you. We played Uniracers at your house, right?
Yep.
Okay, don't get rid of that.
Nope. I would never get rid of anything.
Do you know why not to get rid of Uniracers?
No.
I heard about this on the most recent Rebel FM.
Mm-hmm.
That game was actually made by DMA, who is Rockstar.
Wow.
They made that game, and I guess what happened was there was I think the guy's name was Scott Bromley, was playing the game, like when it first came out on the Super Nintendo. He was playing it, and I guess he knew John Lasseter's son, and told John Lasseter's son about how the unicycles were stylized, and how that they were similar to the Luxo Junior, and that in turn got back to John Lasseter, and then Pixar/Disney filed suit against DMA.
Really?
And so they had to pull all the copies out of the store.
No way.
So that game's incredibly rare?
Yeah, more or less. I don't know how rare it is, but it was, it was pulled out of stores because Disney put a cease and desist down on it.
If nothing else, piece of gaming history.
So, yeah, I thought that was really interesting. When I heard that, I was like, no way. Joe and I were playing that. We didn't really understand what was going on.
Except that it's great.
Yeah, no, it is. It's fun. It's like it's like today's Endless Runners, except it was done back in the 90s. In other news that no one really cares about except for me, Allie and I snagged a PlayStation 1 on Sunday.
PlayStation 1?
PlayStation 1. Amazing.
We snagged it. What a steal.
Oh,
only
man.
$500.
Yeah, we snagged an Xbox One on Sunday. Mainly, she had just gotten her bonus from work, and she was really excited about that. And she's a big fan of Zoo Tycoon. And of course, they have a version of Zoo Tycoon for the Xbox One. And so
my god, you spent $500 to play fucking Zoo Tycoon?
$500 just to get the system to play Zoo Tycoon. Yeah. That does not include the game.
She did that. We bought that. I told her I'd pay for half of it because she wanted it for Zoo Tycoon and I want it for Titanfall. So we split it because we know that Dana's got a PlayStation 4. We're trying to get Shanzi to buy a PlayStation 4. Obviously,
I will get there.
I'm just saying. And obviously, Allie and I both have PlayStation 4, so it's like we already have the multiplayer system. But I wanted the Xbox One so I could play, the hardcore exclusives. So we snagged that. And
I watched that video you sent me, the Titanfall.
Yeah.
To be honest, after watching that, I was kind of like, meh.
Yeah, Danner's the same way.
I don't know.
I'm not allowed to have an opinion on this subject because
I love
I'm
mech.
wrong and I'm an idiot.
I love mechs.
So.
I think mechs are awesome. It's just become. There's just so many shooters out there now. It's like, that's cool. So instead of a tank in this one, I get one that walks.
It's all right.
I've only been tired of shooters since GoldenEye. Welcome to the club. All right.
You've been tired of shooters before. Okay, twin stick shooters. Okay.
Now, Sean, I got to ask you because I know my opinion doesn't matter to Mike on this subject. So
it doesn't matter to a lot of people, but continue.
Yeah, but that's fine. Now, when you looked at the Titanfall video, did it just look like Call of Duty and Halo were just butt fucking on screen right there?
To be honest, it looked like if Call of Duty, Halo, and Battlefield had like an Eyes Wide Shut party, Titanfall would be the baby.
Because it looked like Call of Duty with Halo physics to me. Is really what it kind of felt. It was, like. And then you toss the mechs in.
Yeah, it's just. I think the mechs is cool. Like I was so much more impressed before I saw the video. I don't know what it is. I was really digging that game. I thought it was gonna be really cool. I had plans to, after I eventually get a PlayStation 4 down the line, get an Xbox One and to be able to play that. That video is kind of making me like, oh, I could totally live without that game.
See, I've been interested in what Respawn was going to make as soon as they, formed their company. And, and the guys left Infinity Ward. And the thing is that game is being made by most of the people that worked on Call of Duty 4, which we all enjoyed, and Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
But
it almost shows too much. You know what I'm saying? There's been how many Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 2?
And how many of them
Modern Warfare 3, 2 Black Ops, Ghosts.
But how many of them have been like as good as those, or as good as Call of Duty 4?
Well, if you compare any of the new ones to Call of Duty 4, it's going to find lacking. But I wouldn't say they're as fun.
Well, and I do want to say this in defense of Titanfall. I've never ever been impressed with any video I've ever seen for a Call of Duty game. There's always things that kind of pop out like, oh, that looks kind of cool. But to me,
like, oh my god, when Ghosts. So
the moment I saw the stuff in space was probably the first time in Call of Duty history where I was just like, okay, that looks kind of cool.
Which it was. I love that mission
because it's space.
Although Mike wouldn't know because he doesn't play single player.
I've seen it. Thank you. Jason was here.
You've seen it.
We played it.
Oh, you watched someone? No, you watched someone else play it. That's different.
Of course, I'm not going to play it.
You might as well
just want to load up a YouTube video.
Exactly. Yes. Air high five, Danner. Smack. I'm gonna bro fist you right now. You ready for this?
Okay, bump it.
I'm sorry. I was drinking and watching. Jason and I were drinking and playing it, so we weren't really taking any part of it seriously.
You don't need to hear about your romantic evening with him. Okay.
Jealous?
Yeah, you were both drunk and he was playing with your joystick. How fantastic.
It was.
Sounds like most evenings at Mike's place. Fuck, what was I saying?
Nothing wrong with that.
To me, I think it comes out with Titanfall is I'm really not going to have an opinion until I can actually get my hands and play it for myself.
That's what it is.
Because I think, to me, it doesn't look compelling to me until I've had a chance to experience it for myself. And I think it would be a sweet game to play with Sean and Mike. I think it'd be a sweet game to play in a group of people.
Yeah.
But ultimately, when it comes down to it, I so much rather play Destiny at this point in time.
That's what I was just about to say. Like, weren't we all actually excited about Destiny?
Yeah, Destiny's now since September.
Way more interested in Destiny than I am in.
Well, but here's the thing. I was just kind of, for me, I agree with everything you just said, Danner, and I've listened to a number of people.
Wait a second. Wait. Say that
That's
again.
recorded.
No.
I'm
That's
glad
in
we're
history
recording. It's
now.
going to be. We'll have that for posterity.
Mike does the editing.
I
He's
agree.
gonna
No, I agree with what you
actually-
just said about needing to get your hands on it, and that you need. And I agree with what you said. Like I know, I understand what you're saying. Is what I guess I should have said.
Well,
You know,
I'm
you-
just
you need
glad
to
that
wait.
Inadvertently, this hasn't come back to saying that I'm an idiot.
I never said you were an idiot. I never said you were an idiot.
He just implied it with colorful language.
I said yes. You asked me 2 questions at once, and I said yes.
And one of which was
You
my
are
opinion
you are
is that I'm
picking
an
that
idiot.
you are picking the answer to whatever one you want. So
I didn't call you an idiot. I just didn't disagree when you called yourself one.
It just comes out of the fact that Mike can't stand when somebody else has an opinion that's contradictory to his.
that's not true. You have contradictory
Apple
opinions to me
sucks.
all the time.
I know, but when you're so butthurt about certain things, you just get more butthurt.
Oh, whatever.
Mommy, Daddy.
Trust me, I can get a lot meaner about it if I really wanted to.
You can't get meaner about it. It's fine. It's not really gonna
No,
bother me.
because I
He
still
just
no,
flipped his
because
keyboard.
I still want to be friends with you. That's why I'm not getting meaner about it.
Well, I know that, but there's nothing you could possibly say that is going to end our friendship.
Ooh, challenge accepted.
I can certainly test the limits of our friendship.
Shag your wife.
Yeah. Your
No.
wife.
So I
9 months before your kid was born.
the problem is that before I even really saw a video of it, I listened to a number of podcasts from people like getting to play it at E3. And yes, they got to play like a little wedge or a demo of it, but all the conversations like Titanfall like dominated all of my podcasts coming out of E3, all the podcasts coming out of PAX, with like Second Son getting like a nod like as the runner up to Game of Show. And they all just said they liked the way that it played and just the maneuverability and in the environments and stuff. They just said the entire thing was so refreshing. And don't get me wrong, I do like Call of Duty and I do enjoy playing Ghosts.
It looks incredibly fast paced.
Yeah.
That was the other thing I noticed from the video.
And honestly, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, how could I actually play this the way that I'm going to play it? But at the same time, I'm kind of like, you know what?
that was the other thing I thought of. I was like, how the fuck's Mike gonna play
But see,
this game?
we all know that I can play
Did you
games
see
where
the guy go invisible? That's how Michael plays.
but we all know that I can play games where you can run and gun and stuff like that. So I'm actually wondering, maybe this is one of those games. I mean, I wasn't the sit in the corner type of guy when we were playing like Left 4 Dead or Borderlands or anything like that. So I'm just kind of wondering if it
in Left
could be
4 Dead,
something
we
like
all
that.
wedged ourselves in corners.
When we were trying to glitch the game out in the horde mode thing, but not when we were like going through the campaign. And I'm kind of thinking maybe this is interesting. And I understand not liking mechs, but I think the only difference between being a pilot, which is what you are when you're just the guy on the ground, and getting in a mech, I think the only thing is just that you're in a mech. I think you play exactly the same. I don't think it really feels like you're in a mech, other than the fact that you have a much larger gun and maybe your field of view gets a little more narrow because they're trying to put you in the cockpit view. But it looks like you're just as mobile and just as agile as the guy running on the ground. Plus, the idea that you can reach down and grab a guy on the ground and squeeze him until his head pops off, that just sounds cool.
But here's my point. Like from that video, you do not seem as badass in a mech as I would like you to be. I would like when someone gets in a mech, you have to like forget everything else, guys. Focus on the mech. Now, there's an enemy mech. I'm just gonna run past them.
The other,
Like there's the guy
almost-
shooting at it with his machine gun.
It's almost you kind of like it want it to be the multiplayer, like in BioShock 2, where when somebody comes in as the big daddy, everybody kind of drops what they're doing and goes, "Get that fucker."
I want it to be like the equivalent of like you're in an infantry mode or like in like Battlefield or some of the old Call of Duty games, and all of a sudden a tank runs in. Fuck whatever you're doing. That becomes the main threat.
but the problem is there isn't just one Titan on the battlefield.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the problem. Is that like he's got a Titan. Now we have to focus on getting our team a Titan and just take him down. Not like two of us can take that mech down.
But that's the thing. You don't need. Well, here's the thing. I was watching something else. There are different. Everyone has. Even if you're a pilot, you have an anti-Titan gun.
Yeah, like a rocket launcher.
It's not really. It's more like an actual just a gun that fires. Like I know it sounds like a rocket launcher, but it's actually just a gun with rockets in the clip. Like it has a full capacity clip. But and you use that specifically for Titans. But I'm saying like you can have more than 2 Titans on the map.
Yeah.
I've seen up to like 6
Well,
going at each other.
Can't everyone in the game have?
Yeah, technically everyone can get a Titan if they want. And the other thing is that the matches are actually only 6 versus 6.
Yeah.
With everything else in the map being AI, and the AI cannot get in Titans. So really, you can only ever have 12 Titans on the map at once, and they can't do all the fancy running and jumping either. I think from what I've been able to see, they only help you defend the hard points that you're trying to capture.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're just like fodder.
It seems like the mechs it seems like this is a futuristic Call of Duty game, and we'll throw mechs in it.
Well, here's the problem. I think this is the game that they wanted to make instead of like Modern Warfare 3. And when Activision said no, that's one of the reasons they, probably left. Like, I think this is what Call of Duty would have been if Infinity Ward had been given carte blanche the way they wanted.
I don't know, it should be a completely different part of combat that you have to master, and the combination of you being able to run and gun and jump in a mech. It seemed like you could completely not use mechs and be completely fine in that game.
Yeah, because you don't have to.
It's a mech game.
It's not. You can skirt around the mechs and in buildings. The mechs can't get in buildings.
They can shoot in the windows.
It's not Battlefield 4. They can't bring down the buildings.
Yeah, they can. But yeah, you can literally shoot through the windows. There's open windows everywhere.
And there's also things to hide behind. Anyways, the videos that are out right now on YouTube, not only are they compressed, but that's from the alpha build that was sent out just to test server load, and all the textures were compressed down to 25% of what the actual. game
I wasn't judging those things by graphics.
I was just saying anyone that goes.
I was going to say it still looked pretty good.
It looked pretty.
Oh man, I have and I know I've said this before. I still have that uncompressed Titanfall video, which is mind blowing. I watch it every once in a while just to remind myself why I'm looking forward to the game.
right after he rewatches Roadhouse, and then he fondles himself.
So, anyways, yeah, I have
Roadhouse.
I have an Xbox One, and
nobody puts the baby in the corner.
I have an Xbox One in the house, and Shanzi and I were talking about the controller, a little bit before. Joe and Dan got on.
Controller. I finally got a hold of it at Toys R Us has one.
See, that's interesting. Shanzi doesn't like it.
I said the opposite thing.
The joysticks are too high.
It's not as comfortable as the Xbox 360 controller.
And I love that texture around the joysticks. And I love that you can hit the bumpers by rocking your knuckle upward. You don't actually even need to touch the button. That's nice.
See, I always move my finger. I like the triggers. They're like muted.
Yeah.
They don't. They're like there's almost like a pad of felt on the inside of them, so they don't like slam into the back. It's really nice.
I was telling him I don't know if it was just the size of it or just the texture of the actual part back where your fingers are touching. I just did not like it. I did not think it was comfortable.
I honestly haven't been able to use it for any length of time. I do know that Allie, she was a big Xbox person until we got a PlayStation 4 for her, but I do know that she picked up the Xbox One controller and immediately said she preferred the PlayStation 4 controller. So apparently Sony's doing something right.
Well, I think that Sony, it's a new controller for Sony, obviously, but it's not crazy different. And the new Xbox One doesn't look different, but it just does not feel. It's just like I'm holding my Xbox controller right now. It feels comfortable. I could hold this in my hands for hours and it wouldn't bother me. I have a feeling that I'm gonna have to take breaks playing on one of those controllers just because my hands won't feel very comfortable.
Yeah, I can. I have to wait and see until I can actually play something that needs the controller. The Kinect works a lot better. The voice commands for the Kinect work.
The Kinect 2.0?
Yeah.
I was hoping because that's half the thing. Now, are you leaving the Kinect plug in all the time? So is it listening to you right now?
Yeah, I mean, I could open up the door right here and say Xbox on, and it'll turn on. Or I think it's Xbox turn on.
See, I don't know. That still weirds me out.
It's not. It's
Xbox
all right.
turn me on.
There are a couple things. There are a couple things that I still really prefer everything about the PlayStation 4. Just because I feel like their UI isn't as cluttered as the
You'll have to
Xbox
do the real
One
test. Is play a game on each system. That's the same game,
Well, I will certainly. Actually, no, I'm not going to buy 2 copies of the same game. That's dumb.
No, I'm saying just like borrow one from someone else.
I could do that, but the two things that I don't really care for about it right off the bat are, they touted that HDMI pass through, like, so they could dominate your input one, and you can hook up like your cable box or something else to run through the Xbox One.
Yeah.
To pass through it to your TV.
The people who own Xbox Ones that I know just love that thing, love that feature.
I don't, because the Xbox One has to be on in order for it to work.
Yeah. That's what I always thought was dumb. It's like it's like, here, let me plug it in this box that also has to be turned on.
Because I thought I would be smart, and to save on HDMI inputs, I thought I'd be smart and run my PlayStation 4 through my Xbox One.
So you have to turn both systems on to play your
exactly. It's perfectly doable, but the Xbox One has to be turned on, and that's dumb to me.
I could just imagine you're playing your PlayStation, but like someone was like, "You want to play Xbox?" Like, no, I don't play Xbox. Xbox is barely even on, and then just like boop, just turns her like the Xbox is off, and then it just shuts off your PlayStation.
It was really weird to be looking at the it freaked Allie out because I had it all set up, and I loaded up the PlayStation 4, and she could see the UI on there, and then I went Xbox, and of course the Xbox overlay for the voice commands pops up, and she was like, "Ugh."
Oh God, it's a hybrid. I don't like it.
So I immediately unhooked it and moved everything back around. Basically, I had to forfeit my standalone Blu-ray player, which I now have 3 Blu-ray players hooked up to my TV, so it doesn't really matter. But I had to forfeit my standalone. At
least you're not overdoing it.
I had to forfeit my standalone Blu-ray player for now. So,
what's the benefit of even having that at this point?
But if anyone has any questions out there, any of the listeners, I know some people did back, when we were talking about getting one or the other. I now have one in the house, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to submit them in the comments, and if I can, I will answer them.
I actually do have one question for it.
What's that?
How much heat does that thing give off?
Almost none, and it is quiet.
I mean, like, have you like played it for any extended period of time? Not like just Netflix, but actually play a game on it.
Well, here's the problem. I'm not going to watch Netflix on an Xbox. That's just dumb.
I know. I'm just saying is that like that concerns me. That thing could probably pump out so much heat.
I think
like, if you played it for a while.
First of all, the size of it. I don't know how many of you guys have actually seen one like
up close
in an entertainment center. Like,
no, I've just seen
not in a display. It's big. It is big, and it is heavy. Like, and it's like half the size of your receiver, Danner.
Ooh.
And I actually placed it on top of my receiver, which my receiver puts off considerable amount of heat. And I went ahead.
So you're resting your Xbox on top of a heater.
I am. I'm putting, and
probably smart.
They weren't lying.
Put some carpet in between them too. That will help insulate it.
They weren't lying. That thing is all vents. All vents, except for where the CD drive is, where you insert the disc. The rest of it is a giant vent.
Yeah. Well, I think they could not afford another red ring.
No, they couldn't.
Heat issue. That would break them.
The other thing that I don't really care for about it is just there's a small little like fit and finish stuff that it drives someone like me crazy. Like, I noticed it right away. And the the same thing happens on their Windows phones. There's, you have the Xbox logo that lights up when it's on, and they have the same logo on the Kinect. It lights up when the Kinect is on. There is one LED behind both of those icons, and it's like bright white in the middle and then tapers off. Like, you can see the bulb behind the plastic.
Oh, it's so close to the plastic behind it that you can actually make out the bulb.
Yeah, and that kind of stuff just drives me nuts. It's like you couldn't have set it far enough back or put like a diffuser in front of it so that it gives it even light to make this thing look like you spent $500 on it. That said, I think I know why the damn thing costs $500. Every stupid piece of cardboard in the box is stamped with Xbox One.
So every piece of
all the stuff, every stuff, all the stuff you take out and throw away with the box has Xbox One stamped on it. Why?
So you're saying this? You forgot what you bought?
Yeah, I know.
You're like, what was this again? Xbox One.
Even the freaking. I bought one of those rechargeable. I bought one of the playing charge kits today, so I would never have to buy batteries for it again. And the stupid thing even has the Xbox One logo like embossed on the cardboard inside of it.
So we're guessing probably all first party accessories.
Yeah, but it's like, so why would you do that? And they all have they all shipped with proprietary cables and stuff. Not proprietary cables, but like the HDMI cable is stamped with the Xbox logo, and like all of any cable that comes with it is stamped with an Xbox logo. It's wow. Okay, thank you for making me pay for all of that.
You're welcome.
But now all of a sudden I know why it costs so much. It's not the Kinect, it's their logo. You're paying for the logo on everything. The power cord is way shorter than the 360's power cord.
The length of it, you mean?
Yeah,
The actual
yep.
physical length. So
it's actually short to the point that the cable that runs from the wall that plugs into the power brick.
Yes.
I'm using my 360 cable because the Xbox One cable,
interchangeable.
It's the same. It's the same cable, but the connector to the Xbox is slightly different, mind you, like millimeters different. Otherwise, it'd be the same cable.
I'm assuming it has a power brick.
It does, and it's also smaller than the Slim's power brick.
Oh, that's nice.
So,
I was gonna say because I like the power bricks actually. Taking that out of the system and moving it away.
Why?
Because that just makes it cuts down heat of the actual thing itself.
Because Sony's had so many problems with that.
On Xboxes, it is a problem.
Yes, it is. But I don't know. I right now I'm enjoying it. I know my wife is using the Kinect stuff. She's playing the free Xbox Fitness stuff that comes when you have a gold membership for the Xbox One. She's been using that for the last week. She's been enjoying that because she gets achievements for doing all that stuff.
You do get a month free when you buy the thing, right?
Actually, I think that it's $20 off whatever one you choose to buy. Like I think a month might come in the box, but I think if you buy a subscription, they give you $20 off. So what happened is I woke up on Sunday and I was checking my Twitter feed before I got out of bed, and they were like, Best Buy had Xbox Live Gold 12 months on sale for $40. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, maybe that's a sign. Well, Allie and I went out to try and get Tomb Raider, and that's when we all of a sudden had the epiphany that maybe we should just grab an Xbox. And I all of a sudden remembered that they had the $40 cards. Well, apparently when you buy an Xbox One, you get $20 off a year of Xbox Live, so we ended up getting it for $20. Which worked out nicely. But what's really weird is you're supposed to be able to, instead of having to put in the stupid long ass redemption codes, you're supposed to be able to. You're supposed to be able to put it in front of the camera. But that only works with QR codes, and there's just a standard barcode on the back of all the Xbox point cards and stuff like that. I don't know where you would I went to GameStop today to reserve Titanfall because their pre-order bonus is getting access to the Titanfall beta. And I went up there, and while I was waiting for my turn in line, because there's only one employee in the store, which whatever, I was looking through all of the Xbox like gift cards and like the live subscription memberships and the point cards and everything, and there was not a QR code to be found, so I don't know how to make it work. But yeah, you're supposed to be able to do that. But anyways, if anyone's got any questions, they can feel free to ask them in the comments. Real quick, we'll do this and then we'll wrap up. Caleb Browning asks us, and maybe we can fill Sean's in on this when he comes back. Random question for all of you. My friends and I were thinking of video games that were de facto video games for certain movies. Like, not officially, but they play that way. Streets of Rage could easily be morphed into a game for the Warriors. Dead Rising is similar to Dawn of the Dead, among others. Was curious if you guys had any of those video games that strongly remind you that are similar to movies. I would, not necessarily movies, but I think we could, Danner and I could at least say that Black Flag is reminiscent of Black Sails.
Yeah, I could say that.
I'd say Watch Dogs, granted, having not played any of Watch Dogs, obviously, Watch Dogs gives me similar vibes to CBS's Person of Interest. Maybe even, what was that? Eagle Eye, the Shia LaBeouf movie from a couple years ago,
Yeah.
or Enemy of the State, even to
Good
a
thing
certain
we're
degree.
Comparing it to a game that we haven't played and it hasn't come out.
Well, I'm just saying, like visually, like the idea, the concept of the
Yeah.
game. So,
Well, I
like,
was going to say that Lollipop Chainsaw reminds me a ton of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I love Lollipop Chainsaw.
Yes, I'm enjoying it as well.
It's good, isn't it?
It is really good.
I like Michael Rosenbaum.
Who doesn't?
He's great as the talking head. So, Shanzi, we're talking about games that remind us of movies, but aren't specifically based off of those movies.
Okay.
Like Dead Rising, i.e., Dawn of the Dead.
Well, yeah, but I mean that you can almost say that was specific.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Well, more recently, I mean, pretty much all of the Call of Duty games remind of. Oh my God, what's the name of that movie that just came out not too long ago? It was all Navy SEALs. Help me out here.
Oh,
Zero Dark 30?
yes.
No,
No?
not Zero Dark 30. No, the
Lone Survivor?
Dawn?
God, I cannot think.
Are you talking about Lone Survivor?
No. This came out a few years ago.
Oh.
Expendables.
Not Expendables.
I really love those movies.
I love the Expendables movies. I love them, and I love not to get off topic. And I love when people come up to me and it's like, oh, the stories in those movies are so stupid. I'm like, you're dumb if you go to see an Expendables movies for the story. I
made it
porn for
15
the acting. Like,
I made
what-
it
it's
15
missing
minutes into
point.
the first movie, and I was like, nope, can't do this. Can't.
Actually, you know what? Try watching them drunk. If you can't get, if the story is too unbearable for you, get drunk. Those movies become awesome.
I'll probably have to.
Yeah.
Oh
my God,
I'm
I
a fan
can't
of anybody who tears a genre apart. I love it when they're making fun of a genre, or if they love the genre so much and then they make a kind of a tribute film to it. So I don't have to like 80s action films to love the fact that the people making that film, Stallone and everybody else, love those 80s action films. It's like, yes, please, more, keep doing it. That's great. I'll go every time.
All right. So, anyways, back to the question.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm looking at my old game. I can't. There's got to be something over there that.
Star Fox reminds me of Top Gun. No.
Really?
I'm just kidding.
Did
you
were you high when you watched Top Gun?
Use the
Like,
boost to get through.
Yeah. I'm gonna buzz the tower with my hover tank.
That just makes me sad.
Actually, you know what? I didn't really play this game, but Resistance: Fall of Man kind of reminded me of what is it? Battlefield Los Angeles or Battle LA or
Yeah, Battle LA.
Yeah, that I don't know why, but that reminded me of that when I started watching that movie. I never really played that much
Oh,
of
speaking
that
of
game. I was kind of like, what the?
Speaking of movies that remind me of games, Neil Blomkamp, who did Elysium and District 9, he was the guy that was the runner-up to do the Halo movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have
I
noticed,
heard this news.
but those movies are full of leftover props from when he was getting ready to make Halo. He's actually going to do, I think he's doing the pilot for the Halo miniseries that's coming to the Xbox One. So he's actually finally going to get a shot at making a Halo thing instead of making things that look like Halo. So, anyways.
Act of Valor! Fucking Act of Valor! That was the
hell
movie.
Is Act of Valor?
You never seen Act of Valor?
No.
Oh, it's so good. So good.
Because of the fact that I don't know what it is, I'm going to go with you're a liar.
No, no, it was the movie's basically like a video game plot. It's like, oh my God, this thing's gonna happen. We have to stop it. And all of the people playing Navy SEALs are actual Navy SEAls.
Oh, I remember.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I love that movie.
You know what I thought was the entire time I was watching it? Olympus Has Fallen. For some reason, I was watching that and I was like, this would be a good Splinter Cell movie.
Yes, I could. I was just gonna say that when you were saying that. I'm like, yeah, it's definitely like Splinter Cell.
I remember. GoldenEye reminds me a lot of GoldenEye.
Then you must have been really drunk because those two were real different. Because I don't remember once Pierce Brosnan taking a bullet and going.
Yeah, I
anyone
totally
tried
missed the
playing that
paintball
recently?
mode in the movie.
Has
Yeah.
anyone tried playing that recently?
No, God, no. I don't want to ruin it for my
5 minutes, I could have it hooked up over here.
I think maybe we
It's
should.
the same thing over
5
here.
more minutes, you'll be done
I
playing.
think we should try playing that sometime.
I totally want to do some video capture stuff.
I have some hardware. I think it can do S-video in if we can find a way to do that.
I'm sure there's a hookup on that graphics card over there. Well, no, we wouldn't be using that. Never mind. But I'm sure you could figure something out.
So, anything else, guys? Come on. Nothing. I knew I should have.
Mario Kart reminds me of the Fast and the Furious movies. I really love the part when Vin Diesel shoots the blue shell.
That's how every movie ends.
I'm trying to think, really.
I love how City of Heroes is like every single Marvel movie ever released. There's an overgeneralization.
Yeah.
I like how Arkham Asylum isn't at all like the Batman movies.
Nope.
Is it good?
Yep.
I don't know.
Well, this
Really.
is not as lively as I thought it would be.
Well, okay.
I can't think of anything. I'm looking at these lists of games.
I'm
It's like,
trying.
no,
I'm thinking
no.
of games that I've played and what they remind me of, and it's like,
Well,
I
how
don't know,
about,
it's
okay,
got-
how about movies that remind you of video games?
okay, Need for Speed movie was going to remind me of Need for Speed. I'm certain of
I
it.
really want to punch you. And I'm certain
think-
it's not because Need for Speed has never had a story.
House of the Dead reminds me a lot of House of the Dead.
All right, we're done.
No, we're not done.
Yep, we're wrapping this up.
No.
Yep.
The Resident Evil movies
We can never have
actually
nice
don't
things.
remind me.
Don't
of the
you
Resident
even
Evil game.
say it.
No, I wasn't going
Don't
to say that.
you even.
No, I was gonna say they remind me because recently they've been trying to turn the movies into the video games. They've been bringing a lot of the characters like Kennedy and Chris Redfield and Claire and all those people. It seems like they were trying to make that seem like the video games. Like they're trying to turn the last like 3 video games and bring as many of those characters in as they can.
You know what's-
Let's give this zombie a freaking chainsaw and a bag over its head. I'm like, that doesn't
You know what's
really
really
work in a movie.
sad? I would buy a Resident Evil game that had Alice in it as the main character
Why?
because I think Alice as in the movies, I think she makes an awesome video game character.
I don't know.
All right, here's another addendum to that question. What movie would you like to see a video game that's not a video game?
Adaptation.
What does it have to be a movie? Can it be a TV
No,
show?
what movie would make a good video game that they haven't made yet?
Firefly.
I think that's called Faster Than Light.
No, that's not, really. There is 99.9% less sarcasticness.
Not when you name people after people you know.
I think Requiem for a Dream
AKA
would make
known
a great
as
video
Danner
game.
Can't Live.
That's a Rockstar game waiting to happen, Danner.
Yeah, I know.
You know what? I actually have a good one. Red Dead Redemption reminds me of all those great old Clint Eastwood movies. All those great old, Clint Eastwood.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Good,
You
bad,
don't
ugly.
say.
Yes, I
Hang
know.
'em high.
Shocking.
Fistful of Dollars.
A mule. Was it two? Is it a mule for Sister Sarah? 2 Mules for Sister Sarah? I can't remember the name of that one.
Anyways, if you want to comment on anything that we've talked about in this episode, you can get in touch with us and you can comment on our parent site at geekcastradio.com, or you can send emails to us at feedback@geekcastradio.com. Friendly reminder, next week, next episode 45, we will be doing the Game of the Year episode. So you have 1 week left to submit your nominees. The rules are in the episode post.
Okay, now go over this. I'm not going to go back and read the rules, but why can't
What do you mean
I
you're
do
not going to go back and read
Injustice?
the rules? You can't just
Why can't I do Injustice?
because it's
You can
Injustice.
do Injustice.
Just
Just
not
Why did
number
you say
one.
that I can't?
don't
just-
make it number 1.
All right, it can be that or Saints Row 4.
I'll take
let you
Saints Row
pick.
4 as
I'll
number
take
1.
Saints Row 4 over
Why?
Injustice.
What is the hate with that game?
Just I don't think Injustice is good enough to be anybody's #1 game of the year.
But if it was the only game they played this year,
if it was the only game you played, okay, I understand that. But
I think we just alienated some of our listeners.
I'm sorry,
like,
it's a
"Fucking-
fighting
I like
game.
comic books and fighting games. Why are you
However,
making fun of me?
if you are going to submit a list, please try to submit 5. Otherwise, you screw up the numbering or the scoring.
Yeah, you have to submit 5.
Please try and submit 5.
So if you only have 4, you're required to put Saints Row 4 as your 5th one.
No.
Yes.
Saints Row 4 equals negative points on all this.
So what you're saying is if I can submit 10 games as long as 5 of them are Saints Row 4. Okay.
All right. You can find myself, Michael Powers, on Twitter. I guess you can find me now on Xbox Live as well, since I have that for another year, and the PlayStation Network at Booth Ninja 81. Danner?
You can find me on Twitter at Art Danner or on PlayStation Network at X51 the Machine Man.
Shanzi?
I've been Shanzi Brown. You can find me on Twitter at Shanzi Brown. You're probably not gonna. You can find me on Xbox Live at Weapon87. If you're gonna follow me on Twitter, #woo.
How do you spell that?
I don't
Joe?
know. Woo.
You
I don't
can
know like that.
find me on Facebook at Geek Stuff Garage Sale. Do it.
Apparently, you got to buy some of his. What kind of cards are they?
Oh, my Marvel cards. I have 2 sets.
2 sets. Ladies and
You don't
gentlemen.
have to.
You have
But
to.
you could.
No, you should.
All right, so that does it for Off the Cuff, episode 44. Next week, we've got the Game of the Year stuff, so hope you come back for that.
Woo.
Yeah.
And I know Danner's been itching to talk about comics, so I thought I'd let him do that.
Infinitely more dick jokes.
So, but,
Yep. So
you know what? We'll take a break, and when we come back, Danner will be here.
okay. I was gonna say we could just sit here in awkward silence for like 4 minutes.
No, Danner, I'll put a break there.
He's trying to zip up after pooping with one hand. Give him a few. Okay, it's difficult.
That's going to suck having to wipe with the left.
Hey, wait a second.
We took a break.
Well, yeah,
'cause we're gonna veer away from comics, so it doesn't turn into an episode of Pull Bag.
but with more dick jokes. See, I had to repeat it just so he would hear it.
All right, you back, Danner?
Give me a second. Breath.
You okay?
Noelle left her blanket out in the van, and all I hear is her crying in the background. So I ran out and got it real quick so she would go to bed.
You're
And you didn't put a coat on, right?
To his soul sister, actually. Or this might be a Priceline commercial. I'm not sure.
All right.